Don Lemon was fired from CNN after 17 years of service. In his response, I'm stunned. Don, why was you stunned? Welcome to Becoming with Angelina Watkins. I am your host, Angelina, your queen of becoming, here to help you achieve emotional, spiritual, and financial prosperity. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about loyalty to the job. You all, Don Lemon, 17 years of service. After 17 years of service, Don Lemon has been fired from CNN. And this is on the tails of Tucker Carlson being fired from Fox News after 14 years of service. And so we seem to be in this trend right now where people are getting fired and laid off. And this is nothing new. And Don Lemon, his response in the news is that he was stunned. Stunned that he has been fired. And I'm like, why? Don, why are you stunned that you've been fired? Why is anybody stunned when they're fired or laid off? We've got to get to the point where we are not stuck on being surprised that these jobs are going under, these jobs are cutting budgets, these jobs are shutting down, or they just decide, I don't want to work with you anymore. Okay, before we really get into this, I want to welcome you all to the show. If you're new to the show, I started this podcast so I can talk about topics that are going to help you become who you need to be so that you can do what you are purposed to do, so that you can live the abundant life that you are desiring to live. And if this is your first time joining us, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you all hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode, okay? I drop a new episode every Thursday. Don't forget to leave me some comments as you're listening to the show. I want to know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you're going through. So make sure you talk to me down there in the comments as well. But let's just kind of get into the show. So we have Don Lemon, who's been fired. It was announced on Monday that he was fired after 17 years of service, and this was on the tails of being announced that Tucker Carlson from Fox News was fired as well. And you know, I was listening to the news this morning, and I'm here in Cincinnati, and our fire chief, Michael Washington, he was fired, and he had only been the fire chief for a little under 2 years. And so he was fired a month ago, but he's been with the fire department for 30 years. And so he's suing the fire department for wrongful termination. And they're saying that they did not follow due process and due cause of him being terminated. And, you know, we live in an at-will state. Ohio is an at-will state. They can fire you, and an employer can fire you and let you go at any point in time that they want to. Now, I know we have unions and there's rules and laws and things that need to be followed when letting certain people go on certain jobs. But in Ohio, we're at will state, and they don't have to keep you. If they don't like you, if they don't want you, if they got to cut budgets, whatever they got to do to lay you off, they have the right to do that without necessarily having a good reason. Now, if you're being fired or laid off and it's discriminatory, we're talking like medical conditions, which is why we have things like FMLA, but we have medical conditions, we got things going on with us physically, we've got some type of handicap, then they need to make accommodations for that. But for everything else, if you're not meeting job expectations, if you're not doing your job, if you're not showing up, if you're not, if you're impacting the value of the company, you're not representing the company and what their core values are and how they want to be represented, then they can let you go. I mean, look at all these people who post and do whatever they want to on social media. And what happens? You lose your job. Why? Because the things that you are doing and the stuff that you are saying is not a good representation of what that wants to put out there. And so the thing that's happening now is that we want to sue. The fire chief is suing. Don Lemon is suing. Carlson Tucker is suing. And you're suing why? Why? Why are you suing? What are you trying to get out of this? You're trying to get money? You are just, it's the principle of the thing, because again, companies have the right to let you go. If I don't have money to employ you, then then I have the right to let you go. If a company does not have the funds to pay you to do the job, then they have a right to let you go. If you are not meeting expectations, they have the right to let you go. If you are not representing them in the light that they want to be represented, then they can let you go. If the things that you say and do is detrimental to their reputation and their revenue, they have the right to let you go. What we have to do is stop being shocked about job loss. Job loss has been happening for a very, very, very long time. And we have to stop being so shocked when people are let go and we have these layoffs. You don't have control over when, how, or why an employer is going to let you go. The only thing that you have control over is when you decide when and how and why you're going to walk away. You have the power to decide that you don't want to be somewhere that's not working for you. Okay, you don't have to stay on this job. The times of loyalty to jobs are over. The jobs are not loyal to you, so why are you loyal to them? And so you have the power to look and go and get another job. You do have control over that. And so in a little bit, I'm going to talk about the 5 subtle hints that your employer wants to fire you, and so that you can be aware of what's going on and take action instead of waiting for life to happen. Some things we get hints. We have red flags in relationships. We have red flags. Guess what? In jobs, you have red flags. And when you see those red flags, you have the power to act on and make decisions according to what you see or what's happening. And then we're not doing that. We're waiting for the bottom to fall out on us. And when if we take control, we can be able to write our own narrative. Okay, we get to decide what is our story in. And so in doing that, we need to make sure that we are protecting our economic value. So I did write a book called Path to Prosperity, and in that book I outline the things that you need to do in order to protect yourself from financial ruin, like job loss, recessions, the death of a breadwinner, or sickness or illness. And so you want to check that out, get that book, because you have to make sure that you are protecting your economic value from financial ruin, from things like what is happening today. Okay, and we're being fired from these jobs and we're being let off. Your job security is not a guarantee. It isn't. We've been brainwashed to think since kindergarten through college that all I have to do is I can get a job, and I'm going to get this job, and I'm going to stay on this job for 30, 40 years. And then I'm going to get my pension, and I'm going to have a nice, happy retirement. No, those days are over. Those days may have been for the baby boomers. Yes, the baby boomers, they went and got jobs in the factories, and they had these jobs for 30, 40 years, and then they got these pensions where then they would retire and they would have this money and they would be taken care of. And then they would have these medical benefits and all that. No, that's not happening anymore. That is not this day and time. That is not where we're living today. Our generation does not have job security. Our generation is not guaranteed. We don't even have pension. Okay, pension, the days of pensions is pretty much out the door. And so you got to know that we're dedicated to these employers, but they're not dedicated to us. Okay, look at Facebook or Meta. They're going through layoffs. They're in their second phase of layoffs. They announced back in March they had about 10 more thousand jobs that they would be cutting here in the future. And this is after their first phase of letting go 11,000 people back in November. And so it's just no guarantee. Companies are losing money. Companies are cutting budgets. Companies are shutting down. And so you're not guaranteed a job every day that you get up and decide that you're going to go to work. It's a blessing to have a job. It's a blessing to keep your job, but it's not a guarantee. But you don't have to stay with your current employer, okay? Just like they can let you go, you can let them go. You don't have to stay there. You have the right to move on. Why are we being so loyal to companies? Why? The pay? You think that you can't get that pay anywhere else? Well, let me tell you something. Yes, you can. And when you sit there on a job and you say, well, I'm making some really good money and I don't know that I can go anywhere else and make what I'm making, you are limiting what God has for you and what God can do for you. Why else are you staying there? Are you staying there for the benefits? As I said earlier, pensions are gone. Okay, if it's for the benefits, you're fooling yourself. A lot of these big companies all are offering the same benefits. You're still going to have a 401k and you're still going to have medical, dental, and vision. What else is there that you're staying there for? Just like you got benefits at that job, you're going to have benefits at another job. So then again, once again, you are limiting what God can and will do for you. Are you staying for convenience? Okay, I was talking to a coworker the other day, and we both work from home. We're talking about working from home, and she was saying how she's not happy on her job, but she didn't want to leave because it's a remote job. She gets to work from home, and she didn't want to give that up. Okay, our company that we work for is not the only company that has work from home jobs. So again, we want to keep limiting and blocking the blessings that God may have for us and what his plan may be for us, because we want to be somewhere for convenience, and we want to limit what we're going to do and what God can do for us when this job is not the only job where you can work from home. And then comfort. Are you staying out of comfort? You don't feel like looking for a new job. You don't feel like starting over, and so I'm just going to stay where I am because I don't want to start over. But you have dreams. You have dreams of doing something else, and then you're not doing in those dreams, and again, you're limiting what God wants to do in your life. You're limiting those opportunities that he is putting in place for you to take advantage of, because why? I'm comfortable where I am. It's predictable, and I know what I'm doing from day to day, and I can work around this schedule. But what you gonna do when they come in on that one morning and say, I'm letting you go? All right, so loyalty, you got to question your loyalty, especially if you're somewhere where you're not happy, especially if you're somewhere that you don't want to be. We've got to stop staying on these jobs that are stressing us out, burning us out. We're exhausted. We have nothing left for our families. We have nothing left for ourselves. We have nothing left for our church. We have just nothing left for life, because these jobs have consumed us. They've worn us out. They've tired us out, and we don't have any more energy. And you're unhappy. You're unsatisfied where you are. But I'm going to stay here. Why? Because I don't think I'll get money anywhere else. Or they got great benefits. Or I'm just comfortable. Maybe it's fear. Whatever it is, they're not loyal to you. If they got to cut budgets, if they've got to shut down, if they've got to move some things around, and that means letting you go, they're going to do that. So think about that. Think about your loyalty. I'd like to hear about that in your comments. Why are you, if you're not happy on your job, why are you still there? Now, okay, let's get into the 5 subtle hints your employer wants to fire you. Okay, the first one, you get an email documenting your conversation after a heated discussion. You best believe that they sent that to you as documentation along with other things they're documenting in your file, so that when it comes time to let you go, they have a long list of reasons why it was justifiable as to let you go from the job. Okay, the fire chief here in Cincinnati, they have a list of the things that they say as to why they're justified in letting him go. Now, he's saying those things didn't happen, but if they have documentation of these things happening, that's probably going to be very hard to argue when you have a lawsuit and you want to go to court. So if they're documenting these things, you best believe it's to CYA them when they decide to let you go. Number 2, you're given unrealistic deadlines. You're always coming to you, asking you for stuff and not giving you an opportunity to even accomplish those things. And so I remember being on a job with a person who was given these deadlines, and they were unrealistic. And instead of going back and saying that I'm not going to be able to meet these deadlines, can we adjust it, or this is unrealistic in the time frame that you wanted, they just kept trying to meet these deadlines. And what happened? They let them go. So you got to be able to know and recognize when we are being given unrealistic deadlines and assignments to do, knowing that we're not going to be able to do it. There's no way feasible or reasonable way that I can do this how you want me to do it and within the time frame that you want me to do it, because it's probably a red flag that they want to get rid of you. Now, number 3, responsibilities are being reduced or opportunities are being taken away from you. Things that you were doing, they're taking away from you and they're giving it to someone else because they no longer want you to be responsible for that, because then it's going to be easier to let you go. Now, that's not always the case. For me, I remember having a really big assignment and I was taken off that project. And I too was wondering, like, why am I being taken off this project? Is it something that I did? Is my work not meeting expectations? To only find out when I had a conversation with the manager at the time was like, no, we actually like your work. We actually like what you're doing. You are meeting expectations and we actually want to move you into a bigger, better opportunity, which was a totally different project with more visibility. That was going to put me more in the limelight of and showcasing my skills and what I'm able to do and the value I bring to the team versus the project that they took me off of. But you have to know that that's not always the case, okay? If they are taking assignments away from you or reducing your workload, it could be that they're going to let you go. Someone with the same title has been hired. We're hiring? I didn't know we were hiring. We got more work coming in. We got more work in the pipeline. Did you realize that I had too much work and I needed help? No, ma'am. The workload has not changed. We're just going to hire someone and we're going to bring them in. We're going to get them trained up and we're going to get them to where they can do your job and then let you go and push you out. Okay, so be leery of that when we're hiring people, but the workload has not increased. And then last, you're not being invited to meetings and informed of changes in what's coming down the pipeline. We don't need you in meetings. We don't need to tell you about our goals. We don't need to tell you what's happening. We don't need to tell you about the changes. We don't need to tell you about the work that we're going to be doing. Why? Because you ain't going to be there. Why waste my time getting your input and getting your opinion on anything that we have to discuss on where we're going and how we're evolving? Because you won't be here to see it. All right? Now, have an exit plan, people. Have an exit plan. Whether they fire you or you leave, have an exit plan. Don't wait for them to fire you and then be in financial ruin before you try to take care of some stuff. You got to depend on yourself. You got to have that emergency fund. You got to have that wealth build up, that whether they fire you or you decide that you want to quit, you're going to be okay and you won't be in financial ruin. You have to secure your family's economic value. And that's why you need to go ahead and get my book, Path to Prosperity. I'll have the link to purchase it in Amazon down in the description. Okay. It's going to walk you through all of the steps and things that you need to do in order to protect your family's economic value. Okay, so whether it's job loss, whether it is a recession is happening like we are in right now, they're not calling it a recession, but they might as well, where we got inflation, rates are going up, prices are going up, and our money just doesn't have the value that it is. What I used to be able to get for $10, I can't get anymore. I mean, heck, Dollar Tree, they now call the $1.25 store because things are over $1 now. Okay, it could be that it's a death of a breadwinner. Whatever it may be that can cause you financial ruin, sickness, you got to make sure that you have things in place, okay, to protect your economic value. I call that recession-proofing your income. So get the book today, all right? Now, where you are is not where you have to be. Your past does not define you. You define you. So heal, transform, and pursue.